Listen closely. This moment is not an accident. You didn't stumble here by chance, and what you're about to hear is not some recycled set of words. It is alive. It is personal. It is meant for you. Think of every question that's kept you awake at night, every burden you've carried in silence, every hope you've been afraid to speak aloud. This message meets you there. It doesn't just brush past your surface, it cuts straight to your core. So lean in, because if you turn away now, you risk missing the very answer your soul has been waiting for. You've arrived in a place that feels intentionally quiet, as if the air itself leaned in to meet you. Right now, settle into the space you've found not because you manufactured it, but because something unseen has made room for you. Notice that your breath is the first bridge. With each inhale and exhale, you move closer to an attention that has been waiting. This is not an accident or a passing thought. It is a precise, gentle reaching toward you, a presence that greets you at the exact angle of your need. You might have come here carrying small defenses, the careful ways you've learned to protect your heart. Perhaps you tuck questions behind polite smiles, or you have learned to move quickly past the tender places so no one can press there. Yet here, in this appointed moment, those guards can soften. Imagine a hand that is neither demanding nor intrusive, a hand that simply invites. It rests at the edge of your world and offers an unhurried welcome. Come closer. You do not need a scripted answer or polished performance to be received. The invitation is not about perfection, it is about presence. Hear a voice that does not hurry you. It speaks to you in a tone that honors the weight you carry and the small bravery it takes to show up. You might wonder if this invitation matters, if anyone really notices the quiet pulling at your heart. Listen closely. The attention you crave is here. It recognizes the fidelity of your searching and the courage of your small hopes. Even when the world has taught you to look elsewhere for worth, this presence leans near to remind you that you were never sidelined or forgotten. You may be tempted to ask for proof as if faith were a ledger of visible signs. Yet, what greets you is not a list of accomplishments or a promise of instant resolution. It is an ongoing companion willing to walk beside you. Imagine it like a lamp set inside a dark room. Its light soft and steady, not blinding, but enough to reveal one small step at a time. This is not the clamor of public praise or the flash of temporary comfort. It is a deep, consistent presence that refuses to be driven away by your imperfections or distracted by the noise around you. Allow yourself to breathe into the assurance that you belong to more than your mistakes. There is a tenderness here that refuses to catalog your missteps as the final word. Instead, your history becomes a terrain of lessons, and the gentleness offered to you is an invitation to trust again. Felt shame can be heavy. You may have been carrying it for years without a single hand to ease the load. Lay it down here. The offering you receive is not a scolding or a condition. It is a soft, unwavering insistence that you are worthy of care simply because you exist. If you have been waiting for a sign that you are seen, pause and name the small things, the quiet persistence of your prayers, the tiny acts of kindness you performed in moments no one observed, the resilience that keeps you putting one foot in front of the other. None of these escapes the attention that meets you now. It gathers each fragile act with reverence and says, I have noticed. Even the faintest flicker of longing in your chest has been received. You will not be reduced to the least of your moments. The whole of you is taken into account. You may also feel unworthy of rest, convinced that you must earn the right to be still. That voice that urges you to productivity and perfection is tired of you, but the voice that speaks here is patient. It does not tally your achievements to determine whether you may come close. Instead, it offers rest as a gift, not as something you must first deserve. Imagine a place where the only credential required is your willingness to be honest. Come with what you have, your doubts, your fears, your small prayers, and the longings you've become practiced at hiding. Or, let curiosity lead you inward rather than the anxious chase outward. There's a quiet curiosity in this encounter that wants to know you, not for information to file away, but to be present with you. That curiosity is gentle and persistent. It remembers your name, the contours of your story, the secret places you do not reveal casually. It knows the patterns of your heart and can trace them without judgment. Feel the relief that comes when someone truly knows you and loves you still. The relief settles like cool water on parched ground, and even if only a small part of you relaxes, it is enough to begin. This arrival is not a one-time event locked behind some covenant of perfection. Rather, it is a continual meeting, an ever-open door. Each time you return here, the welcome awaits. You are invited to build a rhythm around this presence, to make pauses that let the influence of care and clarity seep into your days. Your life will not be erased of struggle, but the angle from which you view struggle can change. Instead of solo endeavor, see the possibility of accompaniment, a steady hand that steadies you when the earth shifts beneath your feet. Right now, in the hush of this encounter, imagine the world's noise receding. You do not have to perform or construct an image that looks impressive. Your honest self is sufficient, wanting and deserving of attention simply because you were made. Sit with that truth for a moment. Let it sink into the parts of you that have become used to doing to be beloved. Here, belovedness is not contingent, it is given. As you linger, sense how permission to receive shapes the rest of your story. To accept this arrival is to open a channel for healing, for courage, for quiet transformation. It is an invitation to step away from the frantic work of proving and step toward the steadier work of becoming. Let your heart rest in that promise. You are seen, you are known, and you are invited to stay. You have wondered, more times than you admit aloud, whether anyone truly sees you. Days stretch long with responsibilities and hidden aches, and in the noise of it all you have questioned if your presence matters. Yet, here, now, there is a steady voice reminding you that you are not invisible. You are seen in ways deeper than surface glances, and you are held in ways stronger than your faltering grasp. Nothing about you has slipped unnoticed. The smallest sigh, the quietest hope, the questions you whisper only in the dark, all of these are caught and cherished. Even when others misunderstand you or dismiss the weight of your heart, this presence has never turned away. Every flicker of faith, however fragile, has been honored. Every longing for clarity, every tear that fell unnoticed by those around you has been gathered with tenderness. This attention is not distracted or fleeting. It lingers on you with deliberate care. Imagine a gaze that never shifts away, that remains steady even when you avert your own eyes in shame or doubt. That gaze is here now, unwavering and full of compassion. You have carried burdens quietly, believing they were yours alone to bear. Some you hide because they feel too heavy to share, others because you fear they are too trivial to matter. Yet, nothing is too small, nothing too tangled. The attention that holds you does not divide between important and insignificant. It does not dismiss your worries as shallow or exaggerated. Every ache of your spirit is honored. Every regret is acknowledged. Even the dreams you buried because they felt unreachable are still alive in this awareness, held safely until you are ready to touch them again. The world often measures worth by noise and achievement. It praises the loud, the visible, the triumphant. But you are cherished not for the volume of your voice or the scale of your success. You are cherished for simply being, the quiet endurance of your soul, the way you rise again after disappointment, the way you continue searching for meaning, even when answers come slowly. All of this is seen, and in being seen, you are not measured against impossible standards, but embraced exactly as you are. Consider the way your heart has kept beating even under strain. That resilience, though it feels fragile to you, is beautiful in the eyes of the one who holds you. Your trembling is not a flaw, but a signal of your longing, proof that you know there is more to your story. You may feel unprepared for the challenges ahead, uncertain if your faith or courage are strong enough, but nothing about you is hidden. Every chapter of your life has been known before you turned its page. You are not navigating blind. You are accompanied by one who has seen the end from the beginning. At night, when worries replay endlessly and you feel closest to breaking, remember, you are not abandoned to your thoughts. You are accompanied, nearer than your own breath. The tears you try to wipe away quickly are not wasted. Each one is caught and kept, not as evidence of weakness but as treasures of honesty. Where you see fragility, another sees opportunity to pour out strength. What feels like failure to you becomes the place where tenderness flows most freely. Nothing, you bring no fear, no regret, no uncertainty can drive this presence away. You may think of all the places where shame has pressed hard against your heart, the decisions you wish you could undo, the words you wish you had never spoken, the relationships fractured by time or silence. These are not thrown back at you in accusation. Instead, they are taken gently, held without condemnation, and woven into a story of healing. You are not measured against perfection. You are measured by belonging, and belonging here does not waver with your performance. It is anchored in love that does not falter. Even in seasons when life felt noisy and distracting, when the world's voices urged you to numb yourself and forget your own depth, an invitation still pulsed beneath the surface. That invitation was not withdrawn when you struggled to hear it. It remains constant. Come closer. Not because you have solved every question or conquered every fear, but because you are precious even in your uncertainty. Your hesitations are not barriers. They are simply the ground from which new trust can grow. When you look back at the days you thought were wasted, days marked by fatigue, confusion, or what felt like stagnation, know this. They were not wasted in the eyes that see you. Even then, purpose was quietly unfolding. Even then, your worth was intact. You are not forgotten in the shuffle of time. Each moment is noticed, each breath held in regard. You may have doubted this, but doubt does not drive presence away. It only deepens the opportunity for reassurance to reach you more clearly. So, let yourself rest in this truth. You are seen and you are held. Not occasionally, not conditionally, but continuously. You are embraced in the fullness of who you are. The questions, the flaws, the hopes, the griefs. Nothing disqualifies you from this attention. Nothing diminishes the delight that is taken in your very existence. Allow that truth to steady your heart. Even if all else shifts and changes, this does not. You are noticed, you are valued, and you are never alone. You have carried so much for so long that the weight feels normal. The striving, the endless lists, the constant pressure to manage everything and keep everyone else steady, it has worn grooves into your soul. But hear this now. You are not asked to live like that. Rest is not a luxury you must earn, nor is it a prize for finishing every task. Rest is a gift, and it is being placed into your hands right here. When you lean into this invitation, you discover that rest is not just for your body, but for your soul. It is a place where the heavy armor you've worn can finally be set down, where you no longer need to pretend you are stronger than you feel. Imagine loosening your grip on all the roles you think define you: rescuer, problem solver, perfection keeper. None of these labels are required in this space. Here you are welcomed, not for what you do, but for who you are. The rest offered to you is not shallow or temporary. It does not dissolve the moment the next demand arises. It is rooted in something far deeper, a presence that steadies you when anxiety claws at your confidence and fear chokes your hope. This rest is the assurance that you do not have to hold the world together with your own hands. It is the comfort of knowing that there is one who carries what you cannot, who does not weary or falter, who never grows tired of your repeated prayers or your recurring struggles. You may hesitate to surrender your burdens, afraid that without them you will lose control, but consider what that control has cost you: exhaustion, sleepless nights, constant tension in your chest. The rest offered here is not about neglecting responsibility, but about releasing the illusion that you must manage everything alone. It is about learning to breathe again, to allow your heart to unclench, to find safety in knowing that you are cared for without condition. When you come honestly, Even with frustration and fear spilling out, you are not turned away. Every raw word, every unpolished confession is received with gentleness. Rest is not denied because your feelings are messy. On the contrary, rest deepens when you are honest. The weight you carry becomes lighter when you stop hiding it, when you lay it down in open hands that never reject or recoil. You have been told, perhaps by the world, or even by your own inner critic, that weakness is failure. Yet here weakness is the very evidence of your need, and that need is honored. Your trembling is not mocked, it is understood. Where you falter, strength is poured out. Where you stumble, a steady hand reaches forward. This is not a transaction where your worth is measured in effort. It is a relationship where your worth is already decided, already secure. Think of the nights when you replay worries like a broken record, chasing solutions that never settle. In those moments, you are not alone. You are accompanied by one who does not sleep, who does not lose track of your heart when the world grows dark. Rest is not found in solving every problem, but in knowing you are never abandoned to face them alone. The voice that meets you here says clearly, I am with you. Your fears do not overwhelm me. Your exhaustion does not drive me away. Even the places inside you where shame has built walls are not closed off forever. Rest seeps into those corners too, not with force, but with patience. Shame told you to keep striving, to never pause, to always prove yourself. But kindness speaks louder. You are enough. You are welcome. You are safe to stop running. Rest is not laziness. Rest is trust. It is the courage to stop pretending you are self-sufficient and to allow yourself to be carried. When you allow yourself to breathe in this rest, something shifts. The judgments you've internalized begin to loosen. The comparisons that once consumed you lose their grip. Slowly, you learn to measure yourself not against the impossible expectations of others, but against the unshakable love that embraces you now. That love does not fluctuate with your performance. It remains constant, steady, and true. Rest is not a single moment but a rhythm, a way of living. It is found in the pauses you give yourself, in the quiet recognition that you are not abandoned, in the repeated decision to set down the load that was never yours alone to carry. It is in these small acts of surrender that your soul finds freedom. And as you return again and again to this place, you will discover that rest is not weakness, it is strength made visible. So come, lay down what has been weighing you down. Let go of the belief that you must keep moving to be worthy. Be still for a moment. In this stillness, you are not judged but cherished. In this rest, you are not overlooked but held. Let yourself find what you have long been craving. The deep exhale of knowing you are safe, you are carried, and you are loved without condition. There are places within you that you have tried to keep hidden. Corners where regret has settled like dust and shame has whispered that you should never open the door. You have told yourself that if anyone saw what was buried there, they would turn away. And so you have layered those spaces with silence, convincing yourself that concealment is safety. But hear this: nothing you hide is beyond the reach of gentle hands. Healing is not withheld until you prove yourself. It begins right where you are, in the cracks you try hardest to cover. When you look at your past, you may see only mistakes etched into memory. Words spoken in anger, decisions made in haste, moments where you failed yourself or others they replay like scenes in a film you cannot erase. But healing does not come by pretending these wounds never happened. Healing comes when you allow them to be touched with tenderness, when you trust that the one who knows you sees not just the fracture but the possibility of restoration. Your story is not defined by broken pieces, but by the patient mending that is still underway. You may fear condemnation, as if exposure will only confirm your worst suspicions about yourself. Yet, no accusation is waiting for you here. What greets you instead is kindness, the kind that does not minimize the pain but chooses to sit with you in it. Every hidden regret is taken into hands that do not crush but cradle. Every wound is regarded with compassion, not disgust. Healing is not hurried or forced. It is slow, deliberate work, a process that honors your humanity rather than demanding perfection. Imagine those wounds not as disqualifications but as invitations. The very places you most want to hide are the places where the deepest transformation can occur. When you finally allow light into the locked rooms of your soul, you discover that what you feared would bring rejection actually becomes the doorway to intimacy. The one who knows you fully does not despise your frailty. Instead, there is joy in lifting you piece by piece, joy in patiently knitting together what has been torn. You may think you must heal yourself before drawing near, but that is a lie the world has repeated too often. You are not expected to arrive whole. Healing is not a prerequisite for love, it is the fruit of love. Every scar, every hidden bruise, every silent battle is welcome here. They are not barriers that keep you apart, but bridges that draw compassion closer. You are not a project to be fixed. You are a child to be cherished, even in the middle of the mending. Consider how shame has built walls around you, walls meant to protect, but that have only left you isolated. Shame insists that if you are truly known, you will be rejected. But kindness has a different message. You are already known, and still you are chosen. These walls can come down, not through force, but through gentleness. Imagine keys made of patience, doors opening not to judgment, but to freedom. Healing is not about erasing the past. It is about transforming it into a testimony of grace. When you feel unworthy, when you measure yourself against standards you can never meet, remember, the measure is not perfection, but presence. You are welcomed as you are, not as you think you ought to be. Healing begins when you stop rehearsing all the ways you fall short, and instead listen to the voice that says, "You are mine. You are loved. You are not beyond repair." This process is patient because it understands your hesitations. It does not demand that you rush. It walks with you daily, step by step, sometimes with progress too small to notice. But even when growth is invisible, it is happening. Roots are forming, strength is building, new life is stirring beneath the surface. Healing is not an instant revelation but a steady unfolding. The one who holds you is never impatient with your process. Your individuality is celebrated here. The pieces of you that others may have overlooked or dismissed are regarded with delight. Even the wounds you thought ruined you are seen as part of a larger story, one that speaks not of defeat but of redemption. You are not another face in the crowd. Your story matters not because it is flawless, but because it is real, and in its reality it becomes a testament to hope. So let the hidden places open, slowly if they must. Allow kindness to reach where shame told you to hide. Healing is not about erasing who you are, but about revealing more of the beauty already planted within you. Even in the cracks, light enters. Even in the silence, compassion speaks. You are not condemned. You are being restored. And that restoration, though quiet and slow, is a love song written across your life. You are not invisible to purpose. Even in moments when life feels scattered or aimless, there is an intentional design woven through your days. Purpose is not a distant prize reserved for the especially gifted or the obviously successful. It is planted in the ordinary, tucked into the rhythm of your daily choices, the small mercies you extend, and the ways you show up when no one notices. This presence delights in the particularities of who you are, your inclinations, your disappointments, the awkward bravery of your attempts even when results are uncertain. Sometimes you mistake purpose for a grand assignment, a dramatic change or a public achievement that will validate your worth. But purpose often looks different. It is a patient tending, an attention to what is before you, a steadfast willingness to be used in small ways. When you tend the ordinary with love, you are participating in something far greater than you can see. The work of your hands, the listening ear you offer a friend, the courage to speak truth gently. These are not incidental. They are the quiet currents that steer lives toward healing and bring light to places that would otherwise remain dark. There may be seasons when the direction is unclear, when the map is smudged and every choice feels heavy. In those seasons, remember that purpose is not erased because the path is hidden. Sometimes the most faithful thing you can do is keep walking in the simplicity of obedience. Take the next right step, do the next small thing, breathe and go again. Trust that these modest steps compound into meaning. Each one is a stitch in a larger tapestry being woven beyond your immediate sight, and the slow accumulation of faithful choices will reveal a pattern that proves far more beautiful than frantic striving ever could. Comparison can be a thief of clarity. When you look at other people's lives and measure them against yours, the story grows distorted. You begin to believe that your contribution must look like someone else's to count. Resist this lie. Your calling is not a copy. It is forged in your distinct combination of gifts, experiences, and longings. Even the hardships you have endured shape a compassionate capacity to serve and heal in ways others cannot. Your scars are not blemishes to be hidden, but badges that attune you to the suffering of others and equip you for unique ministry. Identity and purpose are intertwined. You are not defined primarily by what you accomplish. You are defined by whose you are. When identity is rooted in relationship rather than performance, purpose becomes a natural outflow rather than an anxious pursuit. Let the reality that you are beloved inform each decision. When you act from belonging, your efforts carry a steadier hope. You move not out of frantic striving, but out of a secure freedom that trusts its value is already established. That freedom makes your service sustainable, joyful, and contagious. There will be moments when doubt will whisper that your life lacks significance. In those dark whispers, look for evidence of unseen fruit. Perhaps someone's burden was lighter because you were present. Perhaps a quiet choice you made rerouted another person's day toward hope. The influence of a single act of kindness ripples farther than you imagine, carried by a network of small, often unnoticed consequences. Purpose, then, is not only measured by big outcomes, but by faithful, consistent goodness that shapes communities and nurtures souls in ways statistics cannot capture. Sometimes purpose shows up as seasons of preparation more than immediate fulfillment. When doors remain shut or promises seem delayed, it may be that your character is being ready to steward something significant when the time is right. Preparation can feel like waiting, but it is not wasted. Skills are being sharpened, compassion deepens, resilience forms. These are the invisible investments that make future stewardship possible. Receive this season as meaningful even when you cannot yet see its fruit. The soil is being tilled beneath your feet. You will also be invited to embrace the unexpected. Purpose is rarely a straight line. It often meanders through losses, detours, and surprising encounters. When things shift, refuse the temptation to see divergence as failure. Instead, be open to the new paths that emerge. Sometimes the rerouting is precisely the way to a fuller, truer expression of your calling. Keep your heart soft to discovery and your hands ready to engage with whatever small task appears next. Curiosity and willingness will turn detours into developments. Remember, the community matters in purpose. You were not made to carry your calling alone. The people around you, friends, family, neighbors, are part of the tapestry that helps reveal and refine your contribution. Humility to receive help and wisdom to discern guidance are marks of a mature life. When you share burdens and celebrate small wins together, your individual purpose aligns with a broader movement of renewal that touches many lives. Don't underestimate the power of a shared meal, a timely encouragement, or a quiet prayer offered on your behalf. Finally, do not let fear silence your attempts. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. When you step forward with a trembling heart, that very vulnerability becomes a conduit for grace. The world needs the particular light you bear, the perspective only you can bring, and the small steps you are willing to take. Let purpose be a practice more than a performance, cultivated daily through love, patience, and the faithful doing of what is before you. You are called, uniquely crafted, and equipped to make an impact in ways that matter. Release the pressure to have it all figured out today. Allow yourself practical rhythms, small margins in your schedule for rest, moments of prayer or reflection, reaching out to one person in need. These simple practices are not trivial. They are the soil that nourishes purpose. Over time, these small, faithful actions compound, and you will look back amazed at how steady attention bore fruit in ways that mere ambition could never manufacture. Each morning you wake and choose again is another stroke in that unfolding work, steady, significant, and beloved. Waiting is one of the hardest parts of being human. You live in a world that rushes, that prizes instant answers and fast results, yet you are often asked to linger in uncertainty. It feels like standing in a hallway with doors closed on either side, wondering if you missed the right one or if any of them will ever open. In those moments, the temptation is strong to believe you have been forgotten, that delay equals neglect. But waiting is not abandonment. Waiting can be its own form of purpose, shaping you in ways that speed never could. In waiting, your trust is tested, refined, and deepened. You learn that faith is not only about celebrating answered prayers, but also about holding hope when answers are slow. Patience is not punishment. It is the sacred ground where your desires are sifted, where what you truly long for is clarified. Each day that stretches without resolution is not empty space. It is an invitation to anchor yourself more firmly in faithfulness, to release control you never really had, and to discover that your value is not tied to how quickly life resolves. You have likely asked the questions that haunt so many. Why is this taking so long? Did I mishear the direction? Am I somehow disqualified from the promises I thought were mine? Those questions are not failures. They are evidence of your longing. They reveal that you expect meaning, that you believe your life matters enough to have a trajectory. The presence that accompanies you is not offended by your questions. It welcomes them, knowing they are born from the ache of wanting more than survival. Each question becomes a thread of conversation, tying your heart closer to the one who waits with you. Consider how seeds grow. Hidden beneath the soil, unseen by any observer, they stretch and split, roots forming before shoots ever appear. That is what waiting does inside you. It builds depth before height. It ensures that when new life bursts forth, it has the resilience to endure. If the seed rushed its process, it would wither quickly. So too with you. In the hiddenness of waiting, strength is forming, roots of character are deepening, and resilience is being cultivated. What feels like dormancy is actually preparation for flourishing. It is easy to believe that delays are detours, but often they are part of the direct path. The timing that feels unbearable to you may be the timing that ensures you can carry what is coming. Some gifts would crush you if they arrived too soon. Some opportunities require a version of you that has been tempered by patience and softened by trust. In the long stretches where nothing seems to change, transformation is still occurring beneath the surface, and it will reveal itself in time. Waiting also strips away illusions. It shows you how much you have relied on your own control, how much you have equated speed with worth. When those props are removed, you discover a deeper foundation. You learn that trust is not blind optimism, but a steadying presence that does not waver even when circumstances are unclear. Trust is choosing again and again to lean into faithfulness rather than collapse under fear. Each day you surrender the outcome is a day your capacity for hope grows stronger. There may be voices around you, internal and external, that mock your waiting. They may say you are behind, that you should have accomplished more by now, that your time has passed. Those voices are not true. Your story is not governed by comparison. It unfolds in its own rhythm, one set not by cultural deadlines but by eternal care. What is meant for you cannot be stolen by someone else's timeline. Your worth is not diminished by another's success. You are walking a path uniquely yours, and no delay can erase the purpose set within you. While you wait, notice the small mercies. Waiting does not mean life has paused completely. There are glimpses of beauty, still the unexpected kindness of a friend, the laughter that erupts despite your heaviness, the sunrise that refuses to skip a day. These are not trivial distractions. They are reminders that goodness continues even when answers tarry. They are gentle confirmations that you are not forgotten, that presence still surrounds you. Gratitude in waiting does not deny the ache, but makes room for joy alongside it. When impatience surges, remember that you are not asked to endure alone. You are accompanied in the in-between, your sighs collected, your tears noted, your prayers, however faint, received. Even your silence is not ignored. Waiting is not wasted time when it is shared. What you think is stagnation is actually partnership, a daily rhythm of leaning on strength beyond your own. In those quiet hours, your dependence grows, your roots sink deeper, and your faith becomes less about outcomes and more about relationship. So, let yourself release the frantic demand for certainty. Let your waiting be less about passively enduring and more about actively trusting. Every delay is an opportunity for intimacy. Every unanswered question is an invitation to lean closer. Though you cannot yet see the full picture, know this: what is unfolding is not random. It is woven with intention, timed with care, and aimed at your flourishing. Waiting is not the absence of purpose. It is the slow, patient ground in which hope is planted, where trust takes root, and where your story is being shaped for more than you can imagine. How? Relationships can carry some of the deepest joys and also some of the deepest wounds. You know what it feels like when connection thrives, when laughter flows freely, when understanding runs deep, when presence itself becomes a comfort. And you know what it feels like when connection fractures, when silence grows heavy, when words wound instead of heal, when absence aches more than presence ever could. Both realities leave their mark, yet in each you are not abandoned to navigate alone. The longing for belonging is not weakness. It is part of how you were designed. You were never meant to live in isolation, never intended to shoulder every burden by yourself. When you crave closeness, when you ache for reconciliation, those desires are echoes of something good, something true. They point to a love that longs to gather and restore. Even where relationships falter or fail, there remains a steady companionship that does not withdraw. You are not left without presence, even in loneliness. Consider the tangled dynamics that have left you weary, the misunderstandings, the distance that grew despite your efforts, the pain of feeling unseen by those who should have known you best. These experiences may have convinced you that restoration is impossible, that it is safer to retreat than to risk again. Yet, restoration is not always instant, nor does it always look like the reunion you imagine. Sometimes it begins with small choices, a softened word, a humble apology, a prayer whispered for the one who hurt you. These steps, though small, hold enormous weight. They create space for healing to begin. You may feel powerless to repair what is broken, but the presence that surrounds you specializes in mending what seems irreparable. Where your strength ends, grace begins. Where your wisdom falters, guidance enters. Even when the outcome is uncertain, even when others do not respond as you hope, your willingness to extend kindness is never wasted. Compassion offered into the silence is received, remembered, multiplied. Every effort toward peace, however hidden, is honored. Do not underestimate the power of small mercies in relationships. A text sent to check in, a smile offered despite tension, a meal shared when words feel awkward. These acts plant seeds. You may not see them sprout immediately, but they are not lost. Presence works quietly in the soil of human hearts, watering even the driest ground. Over time, what felt impossible can begin to shift. Walls of resentment can soften, and bridges can slowly be rebuilt. Yet, not every relationship will resolve in the way you desire. Some wounds remain tender, some distances remain wide. This reality does not mean failure on your part. Sometimes healing looks less like reunion and more like release, choosing forgiveness even when reconciliation is not possible. Forgiveness is not pretending the hurt never happened. It is refusing to let bitterness chain you to the wound. It is entrusting the brokenness to hands more capable of repair than your own, and in doing so, freeing your heart to breathe again. Relationships are also the space where your purpose finds expression. You are called not only to receive love, but to mirror it. When you show patience in conflict, when you extend compassion to the overlooked, when you forgive when resentment would be easier, these actions reveal a greater love at work in you. Your relationships become a reflection of something larger, a testimony that grace is possible, that mercy is stronger than retaliation. In a world quick to divide, your willingness to nurture peace is a light that cannot be ignored. Even in flourishing relationships, presence remains the foundation. Joy shared with friends, intimacy with family, laughter in ordinary moments. All of these are magnified when rooted in love that does not waver. When relationships are good, gratitude deepens them. When they are strained, patience sustains them. In both, you are never asked to navigate without help. Wisdom is available when you do not know what to say. Strength is offered when you feel stretched thin. Comfort is near when loss or distance leaves you aching. Your story is not only about you, it is interwoven with others. The way you carry yourself, the way you offer compassion, the way you extend forgiveness. These choices ripple outward. They encourage, inspire, and sometimes even heal those around you. Every hidden prayer, every act of kindness, every effort toward reconciliation is a thread that strengthens the fabric of community. You are not meant to carry the whole tapestry alone, but your thread matters deeply. So, bring your relationships, both whole and broken, into the light of presence. Lay down your disappointments, your fears, your regrets, and let grace tend to them. Where there are fractures, trust that healing is possible, whether through reunion, release, or both. Where there is joy, celebrate it fully, knowing it is a gift. Where there is loneliness, remember you are never truly alone. The love that holds you also sustains your connections, guiding you toward wholeness in ways you may not yet see. Life rarely moves in straight lines. You know this already from the twists and turns that have carried you to this point. There were moments you thought marked the end, only to discover they became the soil for something new. There were times of disappointment that, though sharp in their sting, carved space for growth you could not have anticipated. Nothing has been wasted. Even the storms that left you trembling have been gathered into a story larger than what you could craft alone. It is tempting to see your struggles as interruptions, events that slowed your progress or fractured your plans. Yet, what looks like a detour often reveals itself as a doorway. In the very places where you feared collapse, resilience has been forming. The pain that once threatened to undo you has, paradoxically, strengthened your capacity for hope. Each setback, rather than being final, has become a seedbed for beginnings. Renewal is not a distant possibility. It is already at work in the hidden fabric of your days. Think of the storms you have endured. Winds have howled, rains have beaten down, and you have questioned whether you would stand again. And yet, here you are. The fact that you are still present, still breathing, still reaching, is itself evidence of perseverance. Do not underestimate the courage it takes simply to continue. That courage is honored. It is seen as victory, not weakness. Every step you have taken through adversity has been accompanied, and none of it is lost. You may look back on those seasons with a mixture of gratitude and grief. Gratitude that you survived, grief that you suffered. Both are valid. Healing does not demand that you erase the memory of hardship. It invites you to reinterpret it. Instead of defining you as broken, those hardships can testify to endurance. They can remind you of the faithfulness that carried you, even when you could barely lift your head. They can assure you that storms are not the whole story. Renewal follows as surely as morning follows night. Do not be afraid to hope again, even if hope has disappointed you before. Hope is not fragile wishful thinking. It is a defiant trust that goodness is still possible, that presence is still near, that your story is still unfolding. When hope feels costly, remember that you are not hoping alone. You are held by one who delights in planting new beginnings, who specializes in bringing beauty out of ashes and songs out of mourning. Even the quiet sighs you lift in exhaustion are received as seeds of hope. Renewal often comes in ways smaller and quieter than you expect. A conversation that softens your perspective. A sunrise that reminds you life continues. A smile from a stranger that lightens your day. These small mercies are not random. They are tokens of a faithfulness that refuses to let despair have the final word. Over time, these glimpses accumulate, and what once felt barren begins to bloom again. Trust the process, even when progress is slow. Growth is often invisible before it is undeniable. Sometimes perseverance looks like bold steps forward, but often it looks like quiet endurance. Getting out of bed when you feel weary, choosing kindness when bitterness would be easier, whispering a prayer when words feel empty. These are not small. They are the evidence of life still moving through you, the proof that your spirit refuses to surrender. They matter more than you realize, and they are shaping you into someone who can carry even greater hope. Do not believe the lie that your past struggles have disqualified you. The truth is the opposite. Those very struggles have equipped you. They have given you empathy for others, resilience in uncertainty, and wisdom born of experience. What you thought was wasted time has become preparation. What you feared was ruin has become foundation. You are stronger than you know, not because you avoided hardship, but because you endured it and found yourself still held. Look ahead with this assurance. Every ending can be a beginning. Every barren place can bloom again. You do not walk alone into the unknown. The presence that has carried you through storms will continue to carry you into renewal. The same hands that steadied you in weakness are shaping your future with care. Nothing in your journey is too broken to be redeemed. Nothing is beyond the possibility of being made new. So let hope rise, not as a fragile wish, but as a firm anchor. Let perseverance carry you, not in your own strength alone, but in the strength of one who will not let you go. Let every scar remind you not only of pain, but of healing, and let your life, with all its twists and detours, stand as a testament that storms do not end the story. They prepare the way for renewal, for beginnings more beautiful than you dared imagine. Rise now with courage, not because you feel fearless, but because you are held by something stronger than fear. The words you have received until this moment are not abstract or distant. They are an anchor meant to steady you as you step forward. You are not sent out alone. You are accompanied, empowered, and reminded again that your life carries weight, that your story matters, and that you are cherished beyond measure. Carry with you the assurance that faithfulness does not depend on your perfection. It is not your performance that secures love, but love itself that secures you. When doubts press in, when questions linger, when the shadows of your past try to tell you who you are, return to this truth. You are chosen, known, and kept. Nothing you face tomorrow will cancel what has already been spoken over you today. Lift your head, even if your heart still trembles. Courage is not the absence of trembling. It is the decision to walk forward despite it. And you do not walk forward empty-handed. You carry promises that cannot be revoked, mercy that renews every morning, and strength that does not run dry. These are not fragile resources. They are steady provisions, given again and again, precisely when you need them. Let gratitude be your rhythm as you go. Gratitude for the unseen mercies that have already sustained you. Gratitude for the companionship that never leaves you. Gratitude even for the struggles that, though heavy, have shaped you into someone resilient and compassionate. Gratitude transforms how you see the road ahead. It shifts your gaze from scarcity to abundance, from fear to hope, from striving to trust. You are invited not only to receive this love, but to reflect it. As you encounter others, whether in joy or in pain, you carry with you the same kindness that has been extended to you. Offer compassion freely, forgive generously, listen patiently. Your presence becomes a vessel of hope in a weary world. The light you shine may seem small to you, but it can pierce deep darkness for someone else. Never underestimate the power of your quiet faithfulness. Remember, too, that setbacks will come. There will be days when the old fears return, when disappointment whispers that you are alone, when progress feels lost. Do not let those moments convince you that the story has ended. They are pauses, not conclusions. In those times, recall what has been promised. Nothing is wasted, nothing is forgotten, and nothing can separate you from the love that steadies you. Even in your faltering, you are still being carried. Each morning you rise is another chance to begin again. Do not drag the weight of yesterday into today's light. Let mercy clothe you fresh. Let peace settle over you. Let courage fill your lungs. Even the smallest step forward matters. Even the quietest prayer counts. You are walking in companionship with one who delights in every effort you make, no matter how imperfect. So, step out into your days with open hands and an open heart. Trust that what you need will be provided. Believe that your story is still being written with care. Hold fast to the assurance that you are not forgotten, not forsaken, not left behind. Let this knowledge give you strength to face uncertainty with calm, to meet challenge with hope, and to offer love with freedom. And when fear tempts you to shrink back, hear this once more. You are safe, you are wanted, you are deeply loved. Go forward in that truth. Let your life be a reflection of the love that has been poured into you. Carry it into every conversation, every decision, every quiet act of kindness. This world is hungry for hope, and you are already a bearer of it. Rise with courage. Walk with peace. Shine with love. This is not the end, but the continuation of a story that has always been guided by faithful hands. Go forward, cherished, empowered, and never alone. And now you know, this was never random. Every word was meant to meet you, to remind you that you are seen, known, and carried even in the heaviest moments. But don't stop here. Let this message keep echoing in you, shaping the way you step forward. If it spoke to your heart, share it with someone who needs hope as much as you do. And make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and join this journey. Because there's so much more waiting for you, and I don't want you to miss a single moment of it.